You're off the team, Carter. Coach Grant barks to the Summit Ridge stands. Donors chuckling like they bought the punchline. The school stream camera swings tight to my face. I peel off my cap and my tight curls spring damp against my temples. Pool lights ribbon across my skin as water beads on my cheeks. Good. No one can tell what I'm swallowing down. I glance at the nude bandage on my knuckle. 3 shades lighter than me, always insisting I'm not standard issue. My hand finds Grandpa Hank's spiral notebook in my mesh bag. Water doesn't lie stamped in faded gold. If this is supposed to be my public drowning, I lift my chin and steady my breath. What the water knows about me isn't up for a vote. That night I scroll the athletic portal on my cracked phone until the words blur. Per policy. Loss of team status triggers an extracurricular review. Replacement activity must be verified within 21 days. A countdown widget pops up like a dare, 21 in red. Then 20 hours, 23 minutes, and 14 seconds. I take a screen grab and slide Grandpa Hank's notebook under the phone to steady my hands. Water doesn't lie presses against my palm, a weight I can measure. Grandpa coughs from the den. His pill organizer sits open, the Wednesday well empty and Thursday still sealed because the mail brought a denial, not medically necessary. Like a stranger knows his lungs better than his lungs do. I tape the letter beside the calendar where the landlord's final notice already sours the air with its fluorescent yellow. Rent due in 5 days. Scholarship review in 21. Insurance appeal. Allow 30 to 45 business days. The math laughs. Don't stay up, Hank says, voice frayed. I tuck a blanket around his knees and pretend the fabric hides the worry in my jaw. On my desk, the swim cap I peeled off under the lights has dried into a small moon, wrinkled and quiet. I flip the notebook to a page where Grandpa once drew arrows through blue ink waves. In the margin I write, find replacement. Legal. Timed. Public. The pen leaves a groove deep enough to feel with my fingertip. I set an alarm for 5:20 a.m. If time is a lane, I'm not losing it off the start. At Summit Ridge, fit is a passcode you learn by watching who gets waved through. It clings to donor names etched in brass and to smiles that never reach the eyes. I walk the hallway past plaques and a trophy case that slices my reflection into narrow panes. In the team group chat, my messages sink like pennies, visible untouched. When I ask about open lanes or ride shares, bubbles appear, then ghost. Later, screenshots surface from a private server I'm not supposed to know about, real sharks, where they loop slow-mo of my turns and caption it with yawns. Coach Grant keeps a soft voice for parents who help the pool. After those meetings, times bend. Hand timing variance, he says, tapping his clipboard. The whiteboard wears administrative correction like a tattoo. If I ask who gets corrected, the room remembers other business. Small things speak louder than memos. My jacket arrives 2 weeks late and a size off. The office shrugs. The volunteer list for the gala fills in seconds. My name appears, then vanishes. At practice I get lane 6, shallow end, chopped water, while lane 2 goes to someone who can't finish a 200 without checking the clock mid-length. We're optimizing chemistry, Grant says, already turning toward a parent holding a check and a latte. I sit on the edge and open Grandpa Hank's notebook on my knees. Water doesn't lie glowing dull under the lights. I trace his sketch of the 3/4 turn, arrows folding into each other like a quiet engine. The nude bandage on my knuckle looks even paler in this room, a reminder of which shade gets called standard. If invisibility is their rule, I'll use it. Slipstream through, take notes, and let the water remember what people pretend to forget. Civic Aquatics opens at 6, but Mr. Leon sees me through the glass at 5:47 and lifts the latch. 10 minutes, he says, palms up. Good. I only need 5. Grandpa Hank shuffles beside me in his old windbreaker, breath steady enough today. On the bench, he opens the spiral, water doesn't lie, and taps the page where he's drawn a turn like a tiny galaxy. From his tote, he pulls a chipped camp mug, fills it, then feathers the surface with a stir stick. The swirl keeps moving after his hand stops. 3/4 turn, 3/4 turn. You enter here, fingertip to the sketch. Not square. Borrow what's already spinning. Momentum transfer. No fight. A handshake. I slide my cap over my curls, goggles snug. The nude bandage on my knuckle looks even paler in this light. Handshake. I echo, and drop into lane 4. The water rises cold, then forgets me, then remembers. I push off, fold my knees, and roll. Not a full flip, just that last quarter I've been muscling. I let the pool spin meet mine and carry me. Less splash, more slice. Hank nods once from the bleachers, like he hears the sound water makes when it agrees. By first period my hair is braided under a beanie and my hands still smell faintly of chlorine. In physics, Dr. Patel covers laminar flow, chalk ticking quick. After class I linger with the spiral under my arm. He glances at the notebook, then at me. How would you handle a current you can't see? Angle, I say. 2 or 3 degrees on entry. Hips trimmed a touch. Catch lift at the hip. I can't help talking with my hands. The chalk dust floats like steam. Show me, he says. After school he stands at the shallow end. Dress shoes off, socks rolled. I take a clean start, enter 2 square on purpose so he can hear the water argue. On the next length I tilt the hand 2 degrees, let the hips drop a click, time the pull so the return meets my forearm before I send it forward. The change isn't fireworks. It's quiet. The pool stops scolding and starts carrying. Patel checks the analog clock, then his phone. The splits match within a blink you'd never call a gift. He crouches, studies the ripples, then, finally, smiles. You read the flow, he says. Most folks only read the board. Walking home, I flip the spiral to Hank's drawing and write what my body learned. 3/4 turn equals borrow spin. Entry plus 2 degree. Hips trim. Catch at hip, hear the carry. The pen bites a groove I can touch later, when I'll need proof of what the water already told me. 2 days into my countdown. A laminated sign wrinkles on Civic Aquatics door. Pool closed. Chloramine levels. Mr. Leon shrugs from inside like he hates being the messenger. City order, he mouths. A week. Maybe 2. I photograph the notice, date, time, my bent reflection across the word closed. The widget on my phone ticks like it enjoys symmetry. I jog to the YMCA, backpack thumping. At the desk, the receptionist tilts her monitor so I can see the change. My practice hours washed in new gray, members only. Policy update went live this morning, she says, voice careful. Certain teams requested it. I buy a day pass anyway and sit in the bleachers like a guest at someone else's table while the members finish their relaxed laps. When the lane finally opens, a lifeguard blows a whistle. Pipe inspection, he calls. Pool down for the hour. The clock runs. By team practice I'm dry and burning quiet. The locker room smells like citrus spray and new money. I tape my nude bandage flatter, cinch my cap over my curls, and head to lane 6. Grant reads the board. Main set. 8 by 100 on the 115. He clips a smile toward Cole Barrett, sponsor towel, brochure posture. Cole's uncle is the city's new pool inspector. I learned that like you learn where the exits are. I swim the set and feel everything hum. The 3/4 turn borrowing spin, the plus 2 degrees entry catching quiet, the hips trimming when my lungs want to flare. On the 5th rep, it locks. I hit the pad and the number flashes up cold in the good way. Coach? I say, not loud, just offering the board my witness. Grant glances at his clipboard and frowns like arithmetic insulted him. After practice, I check the cloud log that syncs from the deck clock. The split that felt like flight is gone. Not rounded, not flagged, deleted. In its place, a time that keeps me ordinary. My screen grab catches the gap like a missing tooth. Down the hall, a real Sharks notification pops on a friend of a friend's phone. They loop my 5th rep with a caption, Carter's hobby? Imagining PRs. Replies stack with yawns and variance jokes. I walk past, invisible enough to stand in the middle of the corridor and not be bumped. I don't cry. I don't even rush my breathing. I sit on the empty bleachers with Grandpa's spiral and copy the missing split onto paper with the exact time, lane, and set. Then I list the closures. Civic, chloramine. Why? Members only. School, variance. I staple Hank's denial letter behind the page so I can feel its weight when I close the cover. Water doesn't lie presses into my palms. On my way out, Cole passes me alone, towel slung casual, eyes not unkind, which somehow stings more. Tough day, he says, a neutral offering. Chloramine levels. I answer, voice even. Interesting timing. He lifts a shoulder. My uncle says safety first. Great, I say. Then he'll like what safety looks like in daylight. I don't know the full plan yet, but the words fit my mouth. The countdown on my lock screen drops another number. If they're closing lanes, I'll open records. Grant calls me into his office after last period. Cedar walls, framed photos, the kind of soft lighting that flatters power. He doesn't sit. Let's be gracious, he says, like he's offering charity. Come back quietly. We'll keep you off relays for a while. Rebuilding confidence. Coach verified times only. And no chatter about logs or misunderstandings. A donor in a golf vest pretends to study a brochure in the corner. His latte has the school crest dusted in cocoa. I set Grandpa Hank's spiral on the desk. Water doesn't lie catching the overhead glow. The nude bandage on my knuckle looks nearly white against the wood. No, I say, steady enough that he has to lean in to hear it. Grant's smile cools. Excuse me? I'm entering Blue Rapids Invitational unattached, I say. I need a fair start, not a banner. Unattached entries require a coach signature, he answers, already certain. Or an ombuds clearance, I say. With a public clock. He leans forward, knuckles pale. Nia, think about your scholarship. I say. 21 days. Today is day 17. I slide the team jacket off my shoulders and fold it once. It looks wrong on the chair, like a uniform that forgot who it serves. His expression shifts to calculation. You care more about being right than being a teammate. I care about water being water, I say, lifting the spiral, and times being times. Out in the hallway, I print my plan in the margin beside Grandpa's spiral. Blue Rapids, salt system, slight counterflow. Unattached. Reserve camera visible. Request heat by seed time. Documented. The pen bites a groove I can feel with my fingertip. I adjust my cap over my curls even though I'm not swimming and head for the bus. Past trophy glass that throws my reflection back in narrow strips. If there was a middle road, I just stepped off it. Good. From here on, the only thing I negotiate with is the clock. Dr. Patel meets me after school with his tie loosened and a duffel I didn't know he owned. Northside Aquatic runs a salt system, he says. Public lanes till 5. $6 guest pass. No favors, just water and a clock. At the desk I sign the sheet, pay cash, and clip the wristband. Paper trail matters when people claim rules only count on their side. I press Grandpa Hank's spiral through my backpack. Water doesn't lie warm from the sun, and slide into lane 3. Question, Patel says, rolling his socks above the tile. How do you handle counterflow in salt water? Shift entry 2 degrees. I answer, lining up under the flags. Trim the hips a hair. Catch lift at the hip and ride the return instead of fighting it. Show me. I push off. First length, I swim it square on purpose so he can hear the water argue. Surface chatter, wasted effort. Turn. Next length, I tilt the hand 2 degrees. Let the hips drop a click. Time the pull so the current meets my forearm before I send it forward. The change isn't fireworks. It's quiet. The pool stops scolding and starts carrying. Patel times on his phone but keeps pointing to the big analog clock where everyone can see. Redundancy, he says. Numbers that agree in public. We run a descending set. I hold form while the interval tightens. Off each wall, the 3/4 turn borrows the spin like a handshake that knows my name. Climbing out, I'm breathing hard in the right way. The nude bandage on my knuckle has gone dark at the edges. Patel compares the phone times to the wall clock, matching within a blink no one could call a gift. He looks at the sheet, then at me, and finally lets the smile happen. You're ready. Sitting cross-legged on the deck, I open the spiral. In the margin beside Grandpa's drawing I write, salt. +2 degrees entry. Hips down 1 degree. Catch it hip, ride return. 3/4 turn equals handshake. I underline ride return until the ink feathers. Public warm-up at Blue Rapids. I say, closing the notebook. Plenty of witnesses. Plenty of clocks. And we'll make sure none of those clocks can be adjusted away, he says, slipping his shoes back on. Jules' pack slides into physics with ink on her fingers and a messenger bag that looks like it's seen 1,000 deadlines. After the bell, she taps the spiral under my arm. Water doesn't lie, and says, "You have facts. I have formats. Let's make them visible." In the media room, carpet swallowing sound, she sets a portable drive on the table like a chess piece. "Reserve camera from tryouts," she says. "Mainstream was cropped. This angle wasn't. On screen. My start, my 3/4 turn, my finish, each frame stamped with a visible timecode. We'll align this with the scoreboard feed and the deck clock reflection. 3 points, 1 story. I open Grandpa Hank's notebook and my phone. Cloud logs, I say. Grandpa's stopwatch app syncs to network time. He added me to the project months ago. I scroll to the tryout date. Splits with GPS and precise timestamps. He gave me consent, I add. We didn't touch anything school-owned. Perfect, Jules says. Independent sources, synced by NTP. Will generate fingerprints for every file, MD5 and SHA. So any claim of editing has to fight math. Her typing keeps tempo with my pulse. We watch the frames at quarter speed. Hand hits wall. Digits click. Backup angle agrees. Now the server, she says softer. A blurred admin panel appears. Real sharks. At the top, flip turn 11. The recovery contact string shows just enough, and the domain does the rest. A second image, a consented security notice, confirms the linkage. Chain of custody runs through me, Jules says. Redactions in place. Metadata intact. That afternoon, Dr. Patel walks us to the Title IX Ombuds office. Ms. Rawlings listens like she's writing a record in her head. We place the spiral on the table for courage, not as evidence. Jules slides the drive, hash printouts, logs, and redacted images across. Patel cites the MEET handbook. Unattached entries are allowed. No policy makes a coach's sign-off mandatory when eligibility and safety are cleared. Rawlings cross-checks the timecode against the public archive on her own laptop. She nods once, types, and prints 2 pages that still smell like toner. Clearance granted for Blue Rapids Invitational as an unattached athlete, she reads. Evidence lawfully obtained. Consent documented. I will notify the AD and meet director. On the way out, my phone buzzes. Entry accepted. Heat seating TO follow. Jules squeezes my shoulder. Patel finally exhales. I run my thumb along the groove in the spiral's margin and write in clean block letters. Truth plus timecode, gossip. Blue Rapids smells like salt and rubber deck mats. The scoreboard hums above lane lines polished to a gloss. My heat sheet prints in block caps. Unattached Carter N. Good. A label that doesn't pretend to own me. Public warm-up is busy. Kickboards, chatter, lifeguards reminding people where to dive. I slip into lane 5 and taste the current. A thin river from the return jets along the right rope. I angle my hand 2 degrees, nudge my hips down a click, and feel the pool stop arguing. Ride the return. Handshake. On the bleachers, Jules sets a tripod aimed at the finish wall and the board. Dr. Patel stands with a yellow legal pad he never writes on. By the officials' table, the meat packet sits open to a page that might as well be my permission slip. Rule 3.1.2 Salt System. Finish camera with public timestamp. Any correction must be visible. Ms. Rawlings from the Ombuds office checks my name on the start list with the meet director and nods toward me. Official, calm, like a fire extinguisher changing the room just by existing. Our team files in late with banners and whispers. Grant keeps sunglasses on indoors like the glare might bill him. I don't look over. Girls 100 free, heat 4 to the blocks. The starter calls. I check the nude bandage. Edges already dark from damp and step up. The announcer reads names like inventory. Lane 5. Unattached, Carter. The school stream camera finds me. I can feel its red eye. Take your mark. The starter tone is clean. I cut in and keep the first 50 honest, not hungry. The salt lifts me if I don't fight it. Off the turn, I let my hips stay low for a breath, catch the returning push at the hip, and send it forward. The pool agrees. At 75, I'm behind by a hand. Last wall. I hit with fingers already curled for the roll, not a full flip. That last 3/4 turn the world mocks until it feels how a pool wants to go. I borrow the wall's spin and throw it into me. For one instant, I'm a hinge that forgot friction. The water lifts and drops me forward like a yes. I surface into quiet. Not literal. There's a roar, but inside me the splash tucks itself in. Arms become levers. Legs become line. I reach where I've never reached in practice because practice times can vanish. The wall rises. I meet it flat, strong. I look up. The board thinks, then decides. My lane clicks to 52.03. On the bleachers, Jules calls the number like a verdict. Phone framing the board and finish cam in a single frame. Patel doesn't move for 2 beats, then makes the smallest fist in the world. Ms. Rawlings is already with the meet director, procedural, steady. The director types. A green tag pops beside my result. Official. Grant steps to my lane rope, jaw tight, sunglasses pushed into his hair. Off the team, he says, like the words are a switch he owns. Good thing I'm unattached. I answer, chin on my forearm, breathing even. The announcer's voice, delayed and tinny. Unofficially, now officially. That's the fastest time ever posted by a Summit Ridge student. Jules flips to the school record page and holds it next to the live board for her camera. Previous, 52.19, she says, loud enough. Today, 52.03. We have both clocks and the finish cam. I climb out. Water sheets off my shoulders. The nude bandage finally gives up. I peel it and set it on the block. One shade that doesn't get to define me. Jules meets me with a towel and a look that is 90% fierce joy, 10% litigation. Patel offers his hand. I take it. Behind us, the scoreboard holds steady. No rollbacks. No corrections. Just numbers, public, stubborn. Grandpa Hank isn't here, too much walking. But I feel the groove in the notebook margin under my thumb anyway. Water doesn't lie might as well be printed on the LED. From the far side of the deck, Cole lifts 2 fingers in a small salute I don't return. The starter calls the next heat. The meet moves on, as meets do, but something under our feet has shifted. The time on the board is a door, and it just opened. The athletic director corrals a record committee that isn't private. Glass walls, stream still warm. Ms. Rawlings sits at the end with my clearance. Jules lines her phone so the finish cam and board fill the frame. Grant stands in the doorway like punctuation. The AD reads from the bylaws. Any student who sets a school record at a sanctioned meet receives automatic roster placement upon eligibility verification. He looks to Rawlings. Eligibility verified, she says, tapping the stamp. Meet director marked the result official. Grant opens his mouth. The AD lifts a palm. This is ministerial, coach. My name slides onto the roster page while we watch the refresh. A printer exhales a certificate that still smells like warm plastic. An email hits. Performance award. $5,000 posted to student account. Cash disbursement approved. I press Grandpa's spiral. Water doesn't lie. Flat on the table and sign the receipt with a steady hand. I walk straight to the clinic. The counselor scans Grandpa Hank's file, prints a form, and circles the lines as she reads. Assistance program approved. Duration 12 months. Copay $0. Today's bridge voucher, $180. She staples the schedule to the approval. Paper makes it real. Last stop. The landlord's office, carpet smelling like old coffee. I slide 2 money orders across the counter. $1, $200 plus $1,200 equals $2,400, and ask for a stamped receipt. Red letters bloom. Paid in advance. Through next month. I photograph it and tuck the original into the spiral against the page with Hank's 3/4 turn drawing so the seal leaves a faint emboss. On the bus home, I text Hank the receipt and the award email. He replies with one word, breath. I crack the window and let November nip my face. For the first time in weeks, the countdown on my screen feels like a clock I can trust. They move the board meeting to the auditorium for transparency, which is a polite way to admit there's nowhere left to hide. Tripods bloom in the aisles. The school stream chat crawls like it has a pulse. I sit front row with Jules, Dr. Patel, and Ms. Rawlings. Grandpa's spiral, water doesn't lie, rests on my knees, my thumb in the groove I carved the week everything closed. The chair gavels in. Item 4. Timing integrity and athletic eligibility. Grant sits 2 seats back, jaw set. The donor in the golf vest parks beside him like punctuation. The AD clears his throat. We've reviewed the evidence, reserve camera with visible timecode, synchronized logs, meet confirmations. No basis to dispute Ms. Carter's result or eligibility. Proposals? The chair asks. Jules stands first. You don't fix trust with adjectives. You fix it with architecture. Her slide glows. Blind tryouts equals random lanes plus masked caps plus third-party timers. No names on heat sheets. Lanes by draw, numbered caps. Independent crew running the clocks. Publish all raw data automatically. Patel takes the mic next. Redundant clocks. Finish camera with an immutable public timestamp. Any correction must leave a visible record with reason and author. Respect the board? Respect the board clock. Rawlings adds the spine. Title IX requires neutral processes and equal access. We'll launch an ombuds portal with a 7-day response SLA. My turn. I set Grandpa's spiral on the polished table so the document camera catches the rubbed gold title. Open lanes, I say. Fund free city pool lessons. If Summit Ridge wants to be a community leader, build a lane for the community. Hands rise. A science parent. Publish splits live. API or nothing. If a time changes, we all see who, why, when. The room hums. The chair confers, then reads. Deliberate. Motion to adopt. 1. Blind tryouts beginning next month. 2. Engage a third-party timing vendor within 30 days. 3. Publish real-time splits and finish video with audit trails. 4. Create a donor firewall. No family with current athletes may influence athletic operations. 5. Fund open lanes at Civic Aquatics for 2 seasons. 6. Launch a retaliation-safe ombuds portal with 7-day SLA. 7. Commission an independent audit of past administrative corrections. Report due in 90 days. He lifts his eyes. Administrative account flip turn 11 is deactivated, access keys rotated, and an external moderation audit oversees the team server until the report concludes. Coach Grant receives a written reprimand. His access to timing adjustments is suspended for 12 months. Any future correction requires dual sign-off, AD plus vendor, and posts publicly. Server archiving is assigned to an external moderator. Logs and access rights retained 180 days. Second, says the AD. They vote. The ayes take the room. When they move to ratify the record, I step to the side table where the brass school seal sits heavy. I place Grandpa's spiral beside my clearance letter and the certificate. The gold water doesn't lie nestles against the crest. For one suspended breath, the room is as quiet as a held start. Then the stamp lands and the paper accepts the weight. On the way out, Cole sits in the aisle, elbows on knees, listening. Jules exhales a laugh like she finally set something down. Patel writes a single word on his yellow pad. Adopted, as if the ink itself makes it real. Saturday mornings at Civic Aquatics look like a parade. Open lanes fills before coffee. Kids in mismatched goggles gulp the air like it's a prize. I keep Grandpa's spiral, water doesn't lie, on the lifeguard stand beside the whistle, a quiet anchor while I move from lane to lane. Summit Ridge slips a tiny chart into an admissions deck they assume no one reads. I read it. Applicants from less affluent zip codes, plus 42% since open lanes launched. The counselor recites it like weather. It rings in my ribs all day. It doesn't stop at us. Within 6 weeks, 3 schools copy the policy: blind tryouts, numbered caps, third-party timing. Their boosters grumble, then calm down when the local paper runs a piece. Records rise, drama falls. Jules builds a widget that overlays the finished camera with a public timestamp. Kids in algebra use it to talk about slope and error bars. Dr. Patel starts an after-school unit on confidence intervals, and he lets me demo how a 2-degree hand entry shows up in real numbers. At Summit Ridge, the timing vendor's portal goes live with splits in real time. Every meet feeds an API. Any correction posts with who, why, when in a yellow band no one can miss. Complaints about time fixes since launch: 0. The ombuds portal publishes its own stats. Median response: 2 days. SLA met: 100%. A monthly satisfaction index posts on the dashboard, this quarter all metrics in green. The audit of past administrative corrections goes public with findings, fixes, and a maintenance plan. Comments flare up, then settle like a lane after a clean entry. My DMs fill with 10-second clips and split tables. They don't ask for autographs. They ask how to feel the wall. I send the same line: borrow the water, don't fight it. Cole shows up to open lanes before sunrise, first volunteer, no entourage, no camera, just a stack of kickboards and a notebook. He helps 2 beginners find a rhythm, counting with them until their feet match the beat. When the deck is quiet again, he asks if I'll watch his turn. We trade notes like teammates who finally speak the same language. I still keep the nude bandage tucked inside the spiral on the page where I carved the original countdown groove. It's a reminder of a shade that once tried to call itself neutral. The notebook's gold title, Water Doesn't Lie, catches the morning light, and for once the light feels like it belongs to everybody here. Dawn smells like metal and sky. Civic Aquatics unlocks to a ribbon of pink over the lot, and I'm on deck with a coil of kickboards and Grandpa's spiral, Water Doesn't Lie, anchoring the clipboard so the pages don't lift in the vent breeze. Hank sits at the corner table with his mug, scarf soft at his throat. His breathing has a rhythm again. Not perfect, but steady enough to count. The kids wade in, borrowed goggles, brave faces. Find the quiet water, I tell them. It's there even when everything else is loud. We stand knee-deep, palms skimming the surface. Don't shove. Borrow. I flip the spiral to the page with Hank's arrows and let small fingers trace the 3/4 turn before they try it wet. A little sister nails it and the pool makes that hush I love, like it recognizes her. She pops up grinning, braid a comet over her shoulder. The door clicks. Cole slips in alone. Hoodie, quiet, no entourage, no camera. He crouches by the shallow lane where 2 beginners are arguing with their kick cadence. Count with me? He says, clapping a beat until their feet find it. When they scuttle off laughing, he meets my eyes without flinching. I need a clean wall. Borrow, don't shove. I answer, nodding at lane 3. First try, he muscles the turn and the pool answers back with splash. Second, he leaves his hips too proud and the water scolds him. Third, he listens. The spin that lives at the wall takes him and returns him like a gift. He surfaces, surprised, into a laugh. There, I say. Hear that carry? That's yours now. Hank lifts the whistle and gives one gentle tweet. Not to correct, just to bless the start. I peel the nude bandage from my bag, press it flat, then drop it in the trash where it can keep its own story. My thumb finds the groove I carved months ago in the spiral's margin. Steam lifts from the lanes like breath. The door stays propped open to the morning. Water doesn't lie, it rewards technique, not connections. Before I leave the high room, I set the spiral notebook on the polished table one last time, now for protocol, not for permission. Have you ever been sidelined not for results but for not fitting in? Share your story in the comments. If this moved you, subscribe for more accountability stories and quiet physics wins.